Welcome back to West Texas View.
Welcome back to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and my guests this segment are Jackie McClendon, who is the volunteer coordinator, and returning is Tom Jones, who is the executive director of SHARE. And SHARE is, in a nutshell, caring for families that have special needs children. And it's just as important that we give a respite to the parents as well as take care of the and understand the needs of the siblings. And so it's been a really interesting time to talk about this in the upcoming event. But I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the volunteers that are involved, Jackie, because I think it's so important for us to keep emphasizing these services are offered at no charge.
Absolutely.
And that is the most fabulous thing, that we even have this, and then to be able to offer it at no charge is just amazing. So,
and the only way that we're able to do that, Johnny, is by our volunteers. We have a wonderful volunteer base, and we're always needing volunteers to add to that base. We have volunteers for the SHARE program, and we also need volunteers for our SIB Shop program. And we've been talking about the SIB Shop program. SIB Shop volunteers, the program meets once a month for the siblings of the special needs children. Usually our volunteers arrive about 9 o'clock, kiddos arrive about 10, and SIB Shop is from 10 to 2 usually, and so our volunteers are with us from about 9 to 2:15ish. We do always provide them lunch. And they just have a great time. We're always looking for volunteers that actually have possibly had a brother, sister, or family member with a special need. That way they can bond and
know that somebody really understands what they're going through.
Absolutely, it helps these children out. Our SHARE volunteers, we're always looking for volunteers with SHARE. Our SHARE meets on Friday nights.
And that's where you just take care of the children while the parents get to go out and have a night without.
Absolutely. That's the respite care nights. Currently we meet 3 Friday nights a month. Volunteers come in at 5. We do a volunteer dinner to feed our volunteers. And volunteers are usually gone by 10:15. Volunteers come in at 5, children arrive about 6. Parents pick the kiddos up about 10 p.m. Volunteers are usually gone by about 10:15. But we have wonderful volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. We do a youth volunteer program as well. So any of those youth that are out there that are 13 to 18 that maybe need legacy hours or Texas Scholars hours, we're approved with both of those programs. Also community service type hours. A lot of the classes nowadays, college classes, kind of encourage students to participate in a volunteer as a volunteer. But
one of the interesting things that, of course, in the previous segment we had a woman who does a lot of volunteering, works full time, and then comes and does a lot of volunteering because her heart is so led to help other siblings, since she herself was a sibling, and I think that means so much. I had a nephew and a niece and that went through this. The niece had special needs, and he said later to me that he always had his guard up, and that he wished that he could have been around another group of people who understood what his experience was, so that he could let his guard down. And so that's essentially the experience you're giving them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
They can.
And we are. What just amazes me is that the children, the brothers and sisters that have children with special needs, are some of the most compassionate children you'll ever meet in your life.
I agree with that.
And for them to be connected with an adult sibling, they always have that compassion as well.
It just affirms them.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely.
Well, tell me, one of the things that we didn't mention a while ago is where the respite care is given, and also where is this special dinner being given?
Absolutely. Our respite services we provide twice a month in Midland at First Christian Church First Christian Church address is 1301 West Louisiana. They're between Louisiana and Michigan and the Cross Streets G Street. In Odessa, we meet once a month, and it's usually the third Friday of the month. And we meet at Crossroads Fellowship, which is right on 191 at Billy Hicks exit. Both are just awesome facilities. We really appreciate both of those churches for their in-kind donation of the use of the facility. The SIP celebration that's happening next Saturday is going to take place at
Junior League building in Midland.
In Midland. And we're also going to provide child care for those families that have special needs children and the siblings. And the child care will actually take place over at First Christian Church.
And tell a little bit more about the speaker, because we talked about it just a little bit. But how did you know about her?
Carrie from Bynum School mentioned her as we were looking for a speaker, and as we did some research, she said that she had made this documentary about her brother. And
who was Down syndrome? Is that correct?
Right. He has Down syndrome. He's an adult now. So. And she made this documentary and called it The Teachings of John, because as she says, John
he taught her more than...
Right, John was sent here not necessarily to learn, but to teach. And so her whole documentary is about how John has taught them lessons about life and has enriched their lives, each family member. And so as she comes and talks about that, it will help us and some of our families to hear an uplifting story about the positive ways that a child with special needs, and now an adult with special needs, it impacts the special families' lives. Because
someone who's, well, I know Tracy said in the last segment that her sister is now 39 and of course still has special needs, but still that's not a short period of time that we're talking about. And so your program has been modeled after a program in Plano that you had heard about several years ago, and then you took it to your minister, and the minister said, let's start it here and then see if we can flourish it and move into a standalone organization.
That's right. We've been very fortunate to have models like for respite care from that Plano that we've modeled our respite care on, and also the SIP Shop program. There's a national SIP Shop program.
Except now you're just going up and taking it to a little bit higher level. This has been so interesting to have them here, and we're going to continue this conversation next Sunday. So all of you who have special needs children, be sure and tune in. And we'll hear more from Tracy and from Jackie and Tom. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for joining us for News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery. This has been a public affairs presentation of KWAB-TV and KWES-TV.